And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Friday, January 17th, 2025. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. It'll bring you to a web page with a map of the continental U.S., Hawaii, Alaska to the lower left, and tabs for the territories. If you point and click anywhere on this map, it'll give a very specific forecast for anywhere in the nation. And taking a look at the weather map here, the warnings, advisories, and what have you going on across the lower 48, the biggest thing standing out right now is here across the northern central plains. We have the beginnings of Arctic air that will be heading south and eastward across the continental U.S., especially east of the Rockies. And we have extreme cold warnings for North Dakota, northern Minnesota, northwest Wisconsin, where wind chills this weekend could get down around 50 below zero with air temperatures that are sub-zero. And that Arctic air will spread southeastward, affecting areas all the way down through along the deep south, southeast, and mid-Atlantic regions by the time we get into early next week. Now, here in Alaska, we still have impactful winter weather going on the west coast, western interior. That's all because low pressures have been coming out of the North Pacific up into the Bering, and we've had fronts pushing into the western portions of the state, and those fronts are spreading eastward. So a moist front, there's going to be more moisture riding up along a front into the Gulf and then eventually Panhandle later this weekend, Saturday night into Sunday and early Monday. We'll take a look at interesting map showing where the snowpack is this year, water equivalent of the snowpack over the state, showing that areas of the west way below normal, with areas of the central interior way above normal. And then as far as temperatures go, much of the mainland will continue to experience above normal temperatures next week and especially through next weekend. Looking at a couple of the FAA webcams here, Kotzebue blizzard conditions, blizzard warning this Friday afternoon into Saturday, 16 degrees, but easterly winds gusting as high as 60 miles an hour. Not so much in the way of accumulating snow, maybe 1 to 3 inches, but it's all the blowing going on there, creating those blizzard conditions. And then along the Kuskokwim Delta, Kwagillingok, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, 37, but areas here could still experience some minor coastal flooding 2 to 4 feet above the normal highest tide through Saturday afternoon because of brisk southeast to south winds associated with these low pressures and fronts that have been moving through that area. Arctic Village had the state's low temperature this Friday morning at 33 below zero, but temperatures are going to moderate across the Yukon Flats in that area of the Brooks Range. Right now this afternoon, though, high overcast. And then Juneau, still some lingering moisture, creating some freezing drizzle, some shallow moisture, drier air coming in aloft, creating the situation there for some drizzle and fog. 32 degrees in areas of the northern Panhandle, Juneau up to Skagway and Haines. Still could have some intermittent freezing drizzle through this Friday evening. Quick check of what we have going on in terms of advisories and warnings. A couple of things on this map did not update correctly, but I'll try to spell them out. We still have a wind advisory for the Alaska Range till noon Saturday. Southeast to south winds could gust 50, 60 miles an hour through some of the passes and along the ridgeline, especially places like Isabel Pass. Further north, Anaktuvuk and Adigan passes have a winter weather advisory, mainly for some blowing snow there. And again, that'll continue through Saturday morning. And then areas along the west, we still have a winter storm warning for the middle Yukon, Holy Cross, Anvik up through Kaltag, Ruby. But the heaviest snow, 6 to 10 inches, will fall along the New Lotto Hills. And then we have the blizzard warning for Kotzebue into Saturday, through Saturday morning there. And then we have this winter storm warning for southern and central parts of the Seward Peninsula, including Nome, Golovin up through White Mountain. This area here could see as much as 7 to 14 inches of snow, especially the higher terrain above the coastline there. And then the blizzard warning that was in effect for St. Lawrence Island has been pulled back to a winter weather advisory, and conditions have improved there from what they were yesterday. And then we still have this coastal flood advisory down here along areas of the Kuskokwim Bay as a result of strong southeast to south winds that could cause some piling up of the water there with high tide. Water levels could be as much as 2 to 4 feet above the normal highest tide through Saturday afternoon. And here's an interesting graphic provided by the Alaska Center for Climate Assessment and Policy. Shows so far through January 10th, this is the Snowpack water equivalent percentage of normal. Areas of the interior, there's been a lot of snow here, middle Yukon, coming up the Tanana Valley. In through here, some areas have, in terms of the water equivalent snowpack, 150% plus above normal. The more troubling thing is here on the west coast, areas of the western Seward Peninsula and especially the Yukon Delta, lower Yukon Basin, and along Bristol Bay, we find areas of only around 30%, in some cases maybe even less, of the normal water equivalent being held in any snowpack there. That's just an indicator that this winter it's been very mild here across the Alaska Peninsula, but especially areas of the southwest and western Seward Peninsula. So unless something were to really dramatically change, really falling behind here in terms of snow cover. And that part of the reason being we've had storm track that has brought in warmer air coming in up off the North Pacific. And as a result, same thing across the areas of South Central too. The snow cover is below normal, way below what we've experienced the last 2 snowy winters. And so again, we don't have much water equivalent, liquid equivalent there in the existing snowpack. And checking out what we have for the satellite imagery, we have one front that's lift north. Here comes the next low. So we have a couple different lows here, and they all have fronts, initial kind of something pushing through. More importantly, this will become the one that lifts back to the north here along the lower Yukon Delta, spread another front eastward here with the weekend. So starting out this Friday afternoon, here comes the one front, the initial lead low in front that's pushing off toward the north and east. This system has brought some precipitation in the areas along the Gulf Coast, but more importantly, as we get into late tonight, we find that front. We're waiting for this one down here to really give a better push. This front, though, will have some gusty winds with it as it continues to work its way north and eastward across the mainland. The thing, though, in the wake of it passing through here, it's warm temperatures up above freezing. So we have either rain or at the coast or a little bit of a mix of rain, snow, and maybe a little bit of sleet. But that's pulled that warmer air. Again, this is the region that has not had much in the way of snow cover, at least snowpack and water equivalent. Here comes the next impulse coming north, and as we go into the weekend, that's going to help drive this system, secondary low in the western Gulf. That'll spread some more locally heavier rain along the northern Gulf Coast as we go into Sunday, and spreading that into the Panhandle for Monday. Still areas further inland and higher in elevation, the intercoastal mountains could get some moderate to heavier snow with this system. And meanwhile, low pressure just kind of lags here in the west, keeping areas of mainly lighter snow going there. So temperature-wise, instead of 30-something below here at Arctic Village or Fort Yukon areas, we're going to see those temperatures moderate a bit. There will also be a tendency for some clouds increasing as that old frontal boundary works its way north and east. But look at these temperatures here. Some areas staying at or just above freezing across southwest Alaska. Push of milder air coming in, 40 the low at Kodiak City. And back here out to the west, temperatures or east rather, northern Panhandle dipping a little below freezing. There could still be a little patchy freezing drizzle there early tonight. And then temperatures on Saturday, not as cold here in the Yukon Flats, eastern interior along the Alcan border. Notice some high temperatures creeping upwards along the Kuskokwim River, getting up to about 40 degrees, Bethel and above there. And then as we look even up toward Anvik in those areas, 38 for a high. So temperatures getting up even along the Seward Peninsula coastline there and surrounding Norton Sound, probably getting up into the mid, potentially upper 30s, even 34 up there at the Bering Strait. So this is a push of milder air, and we see temperatures moderating too across the North Slope. And for Sunday morning lows, still a little below zero here, Yukon Flats and along the Alcan border. But more importantly, we're seeing temperatures, look at this, low near freezing at Nome. And we're going to have temperatures in the 20s here in the far north. Readings upper 30s to near 40, Alaska Peninsula to Kodiak and Homer. And a little cooler there in the Panhandle, temperatures getting down below freezing for the inner channels. You get down around Wrangell on up through Petersburg, up to especially Skagway and Haines. And then afternoon highs on Sunday. We're looking at areas of the southeast, maybe near 40, Sitka and Craig, but back up around or just above freezing for the inner channels. And then up along the Alcan border, single digits above zero, so not as cold as it has been. 20s, even 30 all the way up there to Point Lay and Point Hope. And we find temperatures around or just above freezing across much of the Seward Peninsula, around Norton Sound, and above freezing across southwest Alaska, again in this area that really has no significant snowpack to report compared to what we might normally see. And temperatures a little warming creeping northeastward to the old frontal boundaries, pushing up into this area. We could get temperatures above freezing, climbing into the Anchorage Bowl and up the lower Mat-Su Valley. So definitely a milder pattern. This is the kind of thing that's taking hold to get us through next week, and especially next weekend. So there's no signs of any really cold air coming back into the state for a while. And here is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook centered on January 23rd through the 27th. Still strong indication much of the mainland and especially middle lower Yukon Valley, Kuskokwim Valley, the central western Alaska range down all the way along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians. We're looking at a high probability of above to maybe even much above normal temperatures. Temperatures will likely average closer to normal across the Panhandle in this kind of pattern that's setting up in the way the ridge is establishing itself. Precipitation-wise, still potentially across the state, precipitation may average above normal, lightly above normal along the Gulf Coast and in through the Panhandle, but maybe more so with the storm track and the surge of moisture that may be coming inland from off the Bering. We're looking at areas of the lower middle Yukon Valley up through the Seward Peninsula surrounding Norton and Kotzebue Sounds, much of the Northwest, essentially the central western Brooks Range and North Slope, and basically Dead Horse westward past Utqiagvik down through Point Hope. All could experience above normal precipitation here as we head toward the ending part of January.